Have you ever really, truly stopped to think about the journey of all the stuff in your life? It's so easy to just forget, but the entire global economy runs on this kind of invisible engine, right? A massive, massive network of ships and ports that powers our modern world. So today, let's pull back the curtain and see how this whole thing actually works. Yeah, the answer for pretty much all of it is a long journey across the ocean. This huge system of maritime trade, it's the absolute critical link in the global supply chain that brings the world right to your doorstep. And the beating heart of this entire operation, it's the port. Okay, so let's really dive into this. A port isn't just some parking spot for ships. No way. It's this incredibly dynamic hub for everything from cargo and logistics to manufacturing and even information management. It is the literal meeting point of land and sea, the place where global commerce becomes local. But you gotta understand, the ports we see today didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They have evolved, dramatically, over the last 60 years or so to meet the insane demands of global trade. And they've moved through 4 really distinct generations. It all started back in the 1960s with these super simple ports that were just focused on moving cargo. That's it. Then they grew into these big industrial and commercial centers. By the 80s, they'd morphed again into these complex logistics hubs. And today, today they're becoming these fully integrated, data-driven, smart ports that are competing on a truly global scale. Now, what's really fascinating about this when you look at it is how the value of a port has just gotten deeper and deeper over time. The first generation, it was all about basic labor, loading and unloading. But by the time we get to the 4th generation, the whole game has changed. The focus is now on attracting foreign investment, plugging into the global supply chain, and using smart tech to create what experts call a brain port, a hub that's driven by knowledge and innovation, not just muscle. And these super advanced ports are absolutely essential because the scale of the system they serve is, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. 80%. Just let that sink in. 4/5 of everything traded on this entire planet moves by ship. And for a trade-reliant economy like Taiwan, that number is even higher. We're talking over 90%. So sea transport isn't just important. For the global economy, it's everything. And what's fueling this dominance? The ships themselves. They've become absolutely colossal. The biggest vessels out there today can carry 24,000 standard 20-foot containers. That's not a ship, it's a floating city of goods. And that's exactly why you need those 4th-generation ports with their giant cranes and super smart logistics. And this whole incredible system is in constant motion for one simple reason: to meet the needs and wants of 8 billion people. Every single one of us relies on this flow of goods for industrial materials, for our daily necessities, for pretty much everything in between. In this chart, this really paints a picture of the main arteries of that global commerce. So the Trans-Pacific route from Asia to the Americas, that's the big one. But look how close intra-Asia shipping is. That tells you something huge. It shows that Asia is no longer just the world's factory. With its massive population, it's also a powerhouse of consumption. But here's the catch. This finely tuned global machine, it's fragile. And right now, its most vital pathways, these global choke points, are under just unprecedented pressure from a perfect storm of crises. The reality is, from almost every direction you can imagine, the global supply chain is, it's under fire. And look, these are not small, isolated problems. You've got geopolitical conflict basically shutting down the Red Sea. You've got climate change causing historic droughts in the Panama Canal. And then, layered right on top of all of it, is the threat of crippling trade disputes. It's like a 3-front war on the global supply chain. So, just take the Red Sea crisis. Normally, ships use that Suez Canal superhighway, but now they're being forced to take this huge emergency detour all the way around Africa. This adds weeks to a ship's journey and can cost millions of dollars in extra fuel for just a single trip. Meanwhile, the world's other great shortcut, the Panama Canal, it's getting hit with a double whammy. It's suffering from these climate-driven low water levels, and there are growing geopolitical worries in the U.S. over who actually controls the ports on either end. And on top of all these physical disruptions, you've got this massive economic threat. These proposed Trump 2.0 tariffs could slam taxes as high as 50% on goods from China and 25% from Taiwan. A move like that could totally reroute global trade flows, like overnight. So when you start to combine all these things, the geopolitical pressures, the climate pressures, the economic pressures. What you get is a system that just isn't stable anymore. The future of global trade is a system in flux. And all of this leads to this really fundamental tension in the shipping industry today. Okay, so on the supply side, we have more ships and bigger ships than ever before. That should push prices down, right? But on the demand side, all of this global turmoil creates massive, massive uncertainty and risk. So what happens? Freight rates spike, totally unpredictably whenever a new crisis hits. The end result of all this instability is a global scramble. I mean it. Companies and entire countries are being forced to find new routes, to build more resilient partnerships, and to fundamentally rethink the very future of a globalized economy. You know, we rely on this system for nearly everything in our lives, but its most critical arteries, well, they're showing serious signs of hardening under all this pressure. And the big question that leaves all of us with is, what's the cure?